we transform. And what's happening today, it's a day of transformation. Filipe Carrera is joining from Portugal. He's a friend. I'm gonna let him in and you're gonna meet with him. Filipe Carrera is joining from Portugal. I met Filipe in JCI, Junior Chamber International, in 2010. Like, it's been 10 years, Filipe. Hey, man, how are you doing?
Fine, and you, Andre? You know, I still remember one thing, that when we were driving in Lebanon, that you said something. I was coming from Syria completely full of food, and you told me, you know what is the main sport in Lebanon? And I said, no, eating. So then I understood, and I actually even returned to Lebanon 2 years ago, and I understood again that it is a food country. So, okay, so I brought a PowerPoint, but I want to do it a fast PowerPoint. So I want to put people to even make questions. So I want to, let's say, disturb a little bit their minds, because one of the things when we talk about digital transformation, and it's something that, let me give you a little bit of my background. I've been working in the digital area for the last 25 years. And when people say it like this, they probably are like dinosaurs like me, because I've been from the before the .com bubble. So I was selling e-commerce projects in '98. So doing e-learning education in '98. So for me, the digital area is kind of old thingy. And one of the things that I learned is that basically the easy part is the technology. It's very easy. It's available, and every time we have even better and better technology. The difficult part is the human factor, the human resource. Because to give you an example, I've been to a lot of conferences in the last 5-10 years, and there is a word that is that's like a kind of magical word that everybody's using, that is VUCA. Okay, that volatile, ambiguous, changing world that we are living. And I would see a lot of managers saying, yeah, this is a VUCA world, yeah. And suddenly they get 2020, and you cannot get more VUCA than 2020. And what happened is that technology was available, but was the transformation of the humans available? So I want to give you some food for thinking and for questioning. So I know that you will get questions. So if you can put it through in the middle even. Okay. So let's go for it. So first of all, let me give you a scenario. I'm an economist. By training, I'm an economist. So the first thing is that we are entering a recession worldwide, except China, that still is growing. And companies will cut costs. And because I'm a kind of old guy, I've been to several recessions. So what happens is that, okay, companies start to think, okay, where we can cut. We only can cut in things that are not hurting our bottom line, but are things that we have, let's say, a belief that contributes to the bottom line, but we cannot really say how they do it. So, for instance, advertising in traditional media. You don't know how much sales you get from a TV ad. You don't know. You have a belief. The other thing, and this is a bad thing for us, is training. Because also it's very difficult to say, okay, you can get X dollars from X dollar investment in training. It is difficult. There are a lot of theories about it, but it's difficult. So those cuts were already done a long time ago. Now, what cuts we will have to do? Stay tuned. People are gaining new skills. So it was so funny that last year, I was like trying people to meet through a platform like Zoom, because one thing, Zoom existed before. It's not a 2020 thing. I've been using it for several years, and I use Skype and Google Hangouts and other tools like this for a long time. But it's like, wow, now there is this. It has been there because technology was available, humans were not. So another thing is that there is a new work-life balance, okay? So uh, people are discovering that they can do a break when they are at home and go and breathe some air and go back to the computer, and they are more creative instead of being in the office the whole time working. So there is environmental constraints, okay? What are the main polluters in the world? Cars. Why they are polluting? Because you have to commute. And think about this. If you are in any major city, you will have like 1 hour to go to your job and 1 hour back. So it's 2 hours per day, 10 hours per week, 40 hours per month, 40 hours per month. So it's in many countries, that is a week work. So, and you lose it going back and forth, and no gain actually on that. And now you have the best digital technology and infrastructure ever. And you know what? Tomorrow it will be even better. So this is the scenario. And the other thing is like, okay, let's talk about leadership and work. I like this part because I like to, this is the part that always has a little bit of discussion, because what I'm about to say creates some issues. So falling myths is that one of the things that people understood when we're sent home is that basically presence doesn't mean work. You can be present at the office, but it doesn't mean that you are working, and you can be not present and you might be working. So it is a different set. The other thing is that the idea of the productive office, okay? And a little bit of history. The office was created in the same idea, in the same principle of the Industrial Revolution, okay? So you had these people in the Industrial Revolution, before the Industrial Revolution, you had these people working in small workshops and doing small pieces each time and blah, blah, blah. And then they were put it in factories where there are machines that are big enough that they have processes, so you can produce much more, but you have to go to that place because the machine cannot go home. So it is normal. So the same principle was applied to the office. So you had equipment like photocopy machines and things like this, and mainframe computers that you couldn't take home. So basically you would go to an office, and it worked well. And actually it's already obsolete for many years, because if you start thinking, nowadays offices are like open spaces that you can bring your own device, and you have sometimes worse internet than at home. And you know what? There is another thing that is really, really complicated. It is the concept of open office. Okay, now I will look that I have like 70 or 80 years old, because in my time, there were no open offices. No, I'm against open offices because I've been, as a consultant, going through them, and what I see is like this. Okay, the concept is people can have like synergetic moments. They can talk with each other and brainstorm, and this is, let's say, what you get in the brochure. What you get in reality is something like this, that people are like like this lady that is with headsets, because she doesn't want to be disturbed. She wants to do some work, so she has to be like that. And when they are not with the headsets, what happens is that, let's imagine that Andrea and me are in an office, and Andrea is very busy doing a report that he needs to be focused. So he actually managed to have 1 full hour to be focused on the report. But I need to socialize, you know, I really need to socialize. And I said, Andrea, so how was the barbecue the other day? And Andrea, because Andrea is a polite guy, he turns to me, Yeah, well, it was really nice. And he stops doing it. And you know what? There is one thing with humans that you need 20 minutes of focus, 20 minutes of focus in order to restart doing great work. So Andre didn't lost 1 minute, lost another 20 minutes. And if I have the need to socialize in the 19 minutes, it will be bad. So what will happen is that probably Andre will finish his work and he will try to socialize with me when I'm doing my work. And this is day to day. And funny thing is that if you go to the most hype offices, they try to look as much as possible like homes. So you have fridges, you have free fruit, you have couches that you can sit and lie around, and you can even play video games and things like this. It is a home, basically. So it is interesting that you are driving 1 or 2 hours to go to a place that is trying to look as much as home, but you get interrupted the whole time and you cannot do meaningful work. And many times when you try to do meaningful work, you stay late, you go before, or you stay at home. So why? It is very strange. So performance evaluation, another failing myth. Presence, good. Not present, bad. No, you have to evaluate results. But by the way, at this point, many people are thinking, oh yeah, this guy is the fanatic of remote work. He wants to make disappear all offices. Nope, wrong again. So it goes like this. In my view, you have to understand that we are social beings. So we need to socialize, but we need to create moments specifically for socialization. So imagine a new kind of office that basically you don't have an office. Again, he's for not for remote work all the time. No, think about this. You get rid of the office and you get to have Teams Day, Companies Day, whatever, okay? And you choose one hotel at a time. So during that day, you go to a hotel, you have nice food. And if you are in Beirut, you always have nice food. So you go to the hotel, you have nice food, and even you can do it residential. You may stay the night over and you can talk all over the night, so you can even know better your colleagues and things like this. You can party, whatever, okay? So, and this is all in company expenses, but with the agreement of the employees. So it is something that everybody contributes to create that moment. And you socialize. And then you go to home like, yeah, now I will finish that proposal that we talked. It is a great idea. I will do it. It is completely different. So you might have these kind of moments that you can have special brainstormings and things like this 1 or 2 days a week, and you dedicate the other 3 days really concentrated work. And okay, my house doesn't have a place. Go to a co-working space or whatever. Things can be like this. It doesn't need to have a proper office, because if you have an office for 200 people, there are at least 20 people that are there working because there is an office for 200 people. So imagine the costs, and not to talk rent, electricity, blah, 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 blah. So really a lot of money. So we are living the biggest remote work experience ever. And people are experiencing shorter and more effective meetings, because there is no delays, we start on time and things like this. And people are getting addicted because it is different. It's much more effective, but be careful. Some people are complaining, I have Zoom fatigue. Why? Because they are copying the same system as the physical system. That is the boss that likes to do meetings every 5 minutes. So meetings are like wars. It's the last resource, okay? The last resource is to do a meeting. If you can solve it by a phone call, by a short email, by circulating a document, do it. If you have to, only if you have to do a meeting. One of the problems, and this is something that many people will not say that is true, is that many managers do meetings because they have a problem of self-esteem, okay? They like the idea of having people in front of them saying, yes, boss. So now tell you talk, now you talk, now you talk. And the meeting is not for the people that are in the meeting, they are for the boss. So we need to be more collaborative. And we were talking about training. Training is also changing. You have to understand that there is this, it is called micro learning. Okay, think about YouTube tutorials. Okay, I've been working in this since 2003, before YouTube, and I was like talking, look, the best way to make people learn how to do something is showing them, not to send a manual or a complete instruction set, because that is, there will be interpretation in the middle and misinterpretation. So we need to use much more of this kind of learning tools. And also we have to understand that now it is very important that learning follows a just-in-time model. So you need to learn, you learn it and you execute. Many of our training and education is you will be trained for things that you will do in the next year. So you will not remember most of them. It is a ritual that is many times done for compliance. We did the training, people didn't do it correctly, not our fault. So it's not to solve problems, it's to avoid penalties, okay? So we as professionals also have to understand that we live in a world that we have to learn, unlearn, relearn, and back again. So distance learning is really, really good on this because we can create our own unique learning path, okay? So very fast tips to finish off: rethink your organization, learn with the crisis. Crises are all, you have heard this, is like a kind of slogan, crisis is an opportunity, but actually is a time for learning, okay? You have to learn through the crisis, because if you stop and only crying for the crisis, you will learn nothing and you will be worse at the end of the day. So take advantage and learn something. And nowadays, there is so much knowledge available and you can learn. So for instance, Andre did this great initiative in order to put people to share what they know within a whole audience. And this was not possible like 5-10 years ago. And now it's very common. And another thing is that people are getting used to this. So it is using technology in a smart way and not using it because it's hype, okay? So communicate wisely. And to give you an idea of using in the smart way, for instance, I hate WhatsApp groups, okay? Why? Because people, not because of the technology involved, not because of the concept, because people don't know how to use them. And we could talk about this like in Teams or in Slack or something like that. People are talking too much instead of doing. And what happens is that we are being surrounded by communication pollution, okay? Too much information, and suddenly we are missing stuff because we are just humans. That's why the digital transformation has to be a human thing. And finally, this is a wave from Portugal. There is this wave is for a long time. I've been showing this slide, and it's a 30 meters wave. Okay, so this guy is really surfing the wave, and I've been for the last 5 years saying, look, the digital wave is coming, and you have to be ready. You have to be ready. And people were like, yeah, VUCA, yeah, things like this. But people were not getting ready. And now we are there. We are surfing it, either we like it or not. So that is what I wanted to share. If you want to connect with me through LinkedIn, you can use the QR code. You know, one of the funny things is that back in 2019, last year, I had to explain to my digital marketing students what was a QR code and what it was good for digital marketing students. So for the common person, QR codes, except if they were living in China, it was like, oh, what's this? And now it's an opportunity. So you can use your app in LinkedIn app. There is a QR code thing near the search bar, and you can connect with me if you like. and I'm available for any questions. So I did my 20 minutes, like I promised, actually 18.
Thank you, Felipe. First, I always enjoy how you deliver your sessions and the examples and the tips and how you do it. You have your unique way, and you have been leading the digital transformation. Like I've known you for 10 years. You were always in this leadership position. I follow you on LinkedIn, and we're always in contact. And I see how you travel, you go to big companies, and also you mentor entrepreneurs on how to do it and how to lead instead of falling behind, and not and know how to ride the wave, the one that you showed us now. So thank you for your session. Felipe, I have a question, because I remember when we met, I had your book, the networking book, and people now when they when they start working online, and now that you mentioned also the office and the digital transformation and the culture also inside offices, how what are your main tips for networking in companies online? Because last time I was talking with a business owner, he told me I hired people this year that I haven't met yet because everyone is working at home. So what can be one of your tips for this matter?
You mean from the company side or the professional side?
Both the company side and the
Okay.
professional side.
From you know, let me give you two very strange concepts. I like strange ideas. So the first one is that from the professional side, you can use LinkedIn as your time machine. Okay, how is this? Is that, for instance, you are trying to look to understand what you can do, and you have like the dream. You have like, you feel that you have a calling to do something, and let's say that you want to mix your love of dogs with architecture. Okay, and you're like, oh, that's strange. How I can mix this? And LinkedIn is a very, very powerful thing because you connect indirectly until third degree with millions of people. So the connections that you have in LinkedIn is kind of your asset. The more connections you have, the more people you can reach. So you really can go and search somebody that has dogs and architecture, and search. So let me give you a personal example. So we met back in 2010. So this was like 4 years before. So, and so you are the witness of what I'm about to say. In 2006, I was going to conferences once a year, doing training abroad, like once a year. And I loved the experience, but it was once a year. So I was like, oh, I would like to do this more. How can I do? How can I do? So I didn't know anybody that could advise me that was doing what I wanted to do in the future. So what I did was very simple. I searched in LinkedIn who was doing this. Okay. So basically I tried to find myself 5 years, 10 years on the road. Okay. So I found one English guy in Houston, Texas. And I said, look, I saw your profile. Can we have a talk? Because I want to be like you, basically. So we had a very nice talk. I believe that was like 1 hour and a half. And he talked. And afterwards, let's say fast forwarding for today, I've been doing training and keynote speaking in more than 50 countries around the world. So did it work? I would say yes, because in a way, he gave me a roadmap. He only talked about his experience, but it was like a roadmap, okay? Things that I would do it by trial and error. And funny thing is that when we say trial and error, basically the reality is trial, error, and error. So it will be like this. Very few times you try, got it. It doesn't happen. So it's much better to have a roadmap. It's like going from A to B and not having a GPS or roadmap or whatever. Okay. So this is something that is important from the professional side. From the company side, you have you have the choice of putting your company in a way that is talent-based. And this is something that is another opportunity that is also for professionals, because I'm a European, I've been in Europe the whole time, and I always heard about the concept that is the golden banana. The golden banana is very easy. It's like if you draw a banana from Rotterdam to Milan, you will find that most of the wealth of Europe is in that banana. Mm-hmm. So if you are not in that banana, and even we can put a tip to London, okay, to that banana. If you are not there, you don't have the same opportunities. And that was real for many, many years. That's why big offices would be in that gold banana. But suddenly you can work from anywhere. And people can search talent wherever you are. Let me give you a kind of an example that actually goes for your area. So from LinkedIn, I got a message in LinkedIn that even I thought at the beginning it was a kind of spam, because it was a lady from Kuala Lumpur saying that she had an opportunity for me, and she worked for some speakers company, organizing conferences, better say, for a company, an Irish company. And she wanted to know if I was available for a conference. And then I read it and I said, okay, let's do an online meeting. So we did. And imagine this, the lady from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, working for an Irish company, hired a Portuguese guy to go to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to deliver a conference. And the funny thing, I invoiced their branch in Cyprus. So this is the world nowadays. We are very much connected, and you can find the talent that you need wherever it is. And make even people more happier, because they don't have to leave their families, their country, and things like this.
Filipe, thank you. You shared with me a giveaway. It was being a master and not a slave. Would you want to talk more about it? What does it include?
Very, very simple. I will give you an example, and because we are lack on time, you are the boss. And I believe that many people that are seeing us, and I don't know if it's your case also, Andre, how many emails do you have in your inbox?
Don't ask me.
That is the classic reaction, because most people don't know how many. Some of them have hundreds, others have thousands. You know how many I have?
How many?
0.
Oh my God, it's a dream. It's a
dream, because think about this. This is one of the symptoms that you are a slave of technology, because you sit in front of a computer, you open the inbox, and you are like, bad news, because it is impossible. You will not finish that day. So if you master Gmail or Outlook that they have, for instance, and I will give a small giveaway. Do you know that you can suspend emails? So imagine that you just receive an email and you know that you cannot answer this until next week, Thursday next week, because it is impossible to do so, because you don't have the data for that, okay? The 99.9% of the people will leave it in the inbox until they solve it. But then, because they have 100 emails up and down, they probably will forget it. So they will have a reminder. So another email. So a lot of the emails that are in the inbox are reminders of reminders of reminders. So if you suspend it for Thursday next week, what happens is that the email disappears from the inbox, and reappears magically Thursday next week. So that is a very small example. There are a lot others that I could give, but time is short. And this is a small example how you can be master of technology and not the slave of technology.
Thank you, Filipe. I hope people will really benefit from the giveaway also. We already benefited from the examples and your session. I wish you a great evening and thank you for joining.
And I will be looking forward to know about your inbox.
Of course.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Filipe. Bye.